What is self-abandonment and why do we do it? Babies are biologically programmed to orient to their primary caregiver for safety. At a biological level, they know that they cannot survive without an adult providing for their needs. Babies are also born with very specific needs that must be met fairly consistently throughout development and indeed throughout all of life in order to live as happy, healthy humans. Some of those needs include being seen, acknowledged, validated, and accepted. When a young child tries, for example, to share something they're excited about with a parent who is busy and distracted, the message that that kid might receive is that they don't matter. That they are not worth the parents stopping what they're doing and paying attention to them. Even something as simple and seemingly minor and normal as that can bring a child's nervous system into a state of fight or flight as they subconsciously fear for their safety. I was raised in poverty by a narcissistic mom and a father who was an addict and who also struggled with violent psychotic delusions. There was daily emotional and verbal abuse. From 3 to 30, there was sexual abuse by more people than I can even remember. The winter when I was 14, I slept most nights in a newspaper dumpster because, well, frankly, sleeping on the streets was safer than going home. Meanwhile, all of the adults in my life were asking constantly, "Why are you doing this to your mother?" Eventually, I concluded, I must be brain damaged. There's clearly something wrong with me. That was the only thing that explained why I was always so confused and why I couldn't seem to get anything right no matter how hard I tried, and why unimportant things seemed to matter so much to me. Ultimately, it explained why I was so stupid. No one ever told me I was stupid. They never used that word. But the adults in my life did make certain expectations very clear, and when I didn't measure up, my conclusion was that I must be being stupid again. If I needed something and rather than providing it, my mom made fun of me, well, then my needs are stupid. If I like something and someone gawked, judgmentally asking, "Why would you like something like that?" well, then my interests must be stupid. If my needs and wants and interests and opinions and beliefs were all deemed as stupid by other people, then I must be stupid, right? At some point as a teenager, I began noticing that a lot of people outside of my home didn't always treat me as if I was stupid. Friends' parents, certain teachers were sometimes actually interested in me and what I had to say. They were actually interested in my thoughts and opinions and beliefs. They were not judgmental and they never made fun of me. As a young adult working in dead-end jobs, I was treated by employers much the same way I was treated at home. However, once I began moving into career positions and away from those dead-end jobs, all of a sudden, I commanded a lot of respect from employers and colleagues. I was dumbfounded, I was very confused, but also my confidence soared for the first time in my life. I began learning how to love myself, how to choose me, and how to meet my own needs and wants. Over time, I shed my family and culture's expectations that had led me to self-abandon. I began embracing all of me, all of who I am, even the parts that I had been taught to shun. When I took a strengths assessment years ago, appreciation of beauty and excellence was one of my top strengths, and I struggled for the longest time to figure out how is that a strength. But then I realized one day that I was assessing it through the lens of practicality, which was a value that my family and my culture held. When I let that go and I asked, what do I think? All of a sudden, it was clear, and I was able to see how it is a strength and how I had been using it my entire life. I also realized an interesting connection with my top strength, which is curiosity. I've always been an insatiably curious person, asking endless questions, and as a kid, I drove my family crazy. So I could not get to school fast enough. But once I was there, the teachers all just wanted me to shut up and listen, to just sit down, never asking my questions. I was so confused because I had been taught that, well, school is where you go to learn. But not only did they not want me to learn, they just wanted me to sit down and not think and not speak. I learned to keep my questions to myself. Even with my friends, though, if I started contemplating and philosophizing, my friends' eyes would glaze over and they would simply stare blankly, having no idea what I was talking about. So, yet again, I learned to keep my questions to myself. The interesting thing that stood out to me, though, about curiosity is that it is every coach's number one skill. Coaches are literally trained to meet every client from a place of curiosity. Coaching is my calling. Ergo, curiosity is literally my profession. My greatest strength, that top skill that literally is my dream job, because it had almost been beaten out of me, and I had been taught to self-abandon in order to stay safe. As long as I sided with my mom, she would feed me, house me, maybe occasionally hug me, and if I didn't have those things, I would die. Even as social animals, humans need other humans. So even beyond that primary caregiver, we need each other. When we are not seen, acknowledged, validated, accepted by all of those around us, we often feel that we have no choice but to continue self-abandoning in order to be accepted. Without a tribe, a human will perish. Biologically, we must maintain connection at all costs. A life of self-abandonment has us living with an external locus of control, meaning that we believe our value lies outside of us and that we're not capable of meeting our own needs. We believe, at least subconsciously and often consciously, that our success is dependent on those external factors. While it's true that we needed others for our very survival during childhood, here we all are as adults, and there is another way that was not possible as kids. We get to choose our tribe. We get to curate our tribe. And as we begin choosing ourselves, no longer willing to self-abandon, some people in our life may push back because they want things to stay the same, right? That's what they're used to. Healthy people in our lives will not feel so threatened by our change, and they will support us. Slightly unhealthy people might feel a little threatened, but they'll be able to come around, own it, and still show up to support us. When someone is not, simply cannot support our healthy growth and development, it is because they are simply not healthy enough. They are not capable of doing so. We or they may choose to end the relationship. As devastating as that can be, it's often for the best. Fear of yet more abandonment, though, keeps many of us stuck, frozen in lives and in relationships that don't fuel us, and they actually just suck the life right out of us. A young person recently said to me, when life feels like this, it isn't worth living. When we are absolutely miserable, it can be incredibly painful and increasingly challenging to force yourself to take another step and another and another. When those steps are rife with self-loathing, shame, guilt, and feelings of failure, where is the joy? If those feelings are withdrawing from your life account, what deposits are being made? Eventually, the bank empties, and there's nothing left to keep you going. Emotional disturbances creep in more and more. You struggle to hide the depression and anxiety, and you just keep smiling as if nothing is wrong. You begin developing physical health issues. that of course worsen over time, no matter how many pills or surgeries. This is your mind and your body and your soul on stress. You are literally giving your life force away. Subconsciously, you know there's an alternative, but the risk is great. That risk feels like death. You could lose everything. I know because I've been there. My story is a little extreme. My choice to stop self-abandoning meant that over time, I lost my mom, I lost my entire extended family, I lost my friends, I lost my marriage. My 2 children are the only people that are still in my life. Most people don't lose everyone the way that I did, and many people honestly don't lose anyone. I share that I lost everything and everyone though because it's important for you to see the worst case scenario. I lost all the people in my life and I was 100% alone. I developed increasingly debilitating health issues, chronic fatigue syndrome, allergies and sensitivities, rosacea, IBS, and other health issues. I sank into the deepest, darkest depression. I was riddled with anxiety and insomnia. My stress levels were so severe that my body was literally thrown into early perimenopause. I didn't even know that was possible. But then, slowly, I emerged on the other side. And here I am before you, living a life I love, with people who know and accept me like no one ever has. Living my dream life, working my dream job, and helping others do the same. I survived the worst case scenario, and so can you. But here's the thing. Reality is seldom as extreme as our fears would have us believe. Chances are you will never have to face your worst case scenario. But even if you do, you are so worth it. And you are so capable.